All rise for the judge. Don't worry, plaintiff, I got you. Or sorry, bailiff.
You guys might be seated. All right. All right. So my name is.
Can you shout?
Shoot, I can't hear him.
Your Honor.
How? What?
F11.
11? How about that? Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Soft-spoken person. Okay.
You're all good.
My name is Judge Bennett. I'm going to be overseeing this civil case here today. This has been obviously something that's been going on for a while, so we'll get down to it. Today's plaintiff is going to be J.J. Johnson and Alex Daywalt, and they're suing Mr. Braddock for compensation of damages and professional malpractice. Okay, no settlement at this time has been agreed upon, and we are now going to be moving into motion of discovery. This is the part where the plaintiff has to prove without shadow of a doubt that misgivings have been given to him or his co-plaintiff Alex Daywalt. Mr. John Santos is going to be representing the plaintiff, and Mr. Hucker from the Los Santos Police Department will be representing Mr. Braddock. At this time, I would like for the plaintiff to issue any type of witnesses that are going to be taking the stand today, any type of video or audio evidence to my desk.
Officer Floyd?
You may be able to come up and take a seat here. Alright, Mr. Floyd, I want you to repeat after me, okay?
Yes, sir.
And raise your hand. Thank you. I solemnly swear to tell the truth.
I solemnly swear to tell the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Alright, you are now sworn in, and the plaintiff, this is your witness, so take the show.
All right, Mr. Floyd, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
All right, great. You are a police officer in the force.
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you describe to me the event on the day that you were taken hostage by my client?
I was walking from MRPD to the gun store to get a weapon for off-duty business. And as I exited MRPD, a Sultan rolled up with two masked individuals, and they pulled up in front of me. And as they exited the vehicle, guns out, I pressed my panic button. At which point, the individuals approached me, took me hostage, and held me close at gunpoint and drove towards jewelry store. Now, since I panic button, the police response was almost instantaneous. They were right on top of us right as we were getting in the vehicle. And so a pursuit began, at which point the individual who was holding the gun, I believe, said, "I need you to back off or I'm going to shoot this guy." And then the officer who was pursuing said, "I can't do that." And then, they basically said, "Well, I mean, I guess I don't know, I guess we're going to shoot him." But they whispered to me, said, "I'm not going to shoot you. Don't worry, Anna. I have no intent of shooting you or killing you. Don't worry, even if they don't care about you." Eventually, I believe the officer either crashed or broke off. I don't know. I couldn't really see from my angle. He had a tight grip on me. But either way, we ended up at jewelry store, at which point the individual let me go, and I got down on my knees, my hands up, hands behind my head. And, they released me and proceeded to rob the jewelry store, at which point units responded to the jewelry store. Basic negotiations happened. At the time, I was on the radio, but my radio was very low. So I did not really hear anything over the radio at all. I don't know whatever was being said on the radio. It was too quiet at the time. And at some point, we were exiting, I guess. They made a call. I don't know what the call was because I didn't hear on the radio. But we exited the jewelry store after negotiations were made for, I think it was the basic package. Pretty sure it was a basic passage. And then we exited jewelry store. I went to the left with my hands up. Obviously, they got in the vehicle and they got shot down.
Did JJ or Alex have any weapons out, pointing weapons at the officers when they were getting in their vehicle?
No, I actually think the driver or one of them put the gun away even as they were getting in. At least that's what it looked like from my angle. I don't know if it was, getting in the car thing.
Okay. Now, just to make sure that I heard clearly, during the chase, when that one officer was approaching during the chase, and JJ said told that officer to back off, or he's going to shoot you. What was said that by that officer, and which officer was it?
I don't know what officer it was, but he said, I guess you're going to have to shoot him because I can't do that.
Okay. By any chance, do you know or recall? I know you say your radio was really low, but were you able to recall who gave the order to shoot as soon as they were trying to get into the vehicle?
Yeah, I was standing next to him, and he said it verbally, like over the radio. I could hear him. It was Archie.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
Okay.
Thank you, plaintiff. You may go back to your seat. The defense, it is now your witness.
Thank you.
All right, my bad.
Mr. Floyd,
Yes, sir.
that same day, you were ordered to go off duty by the defendant here, right?
No, I was ordered I was medical off duty.
And why is that?
I was shot in the head by Jackson Fox.
Okay, so that would be another suspect. Can you explain us a little bit about that experience for you? Do you remember anything?
A long time ago.
Take your time. Take your time.
Okay. Let's see. I was off duty and at Burger Shot when big huge fight happened, I guess you say.
Okay.
A bunch of people got knocked out. It was a big brawl, and it is what it is.
Mhm.
EMS brought us to Pillbox. It was like 5 or 6 of us at Pillbox.
Sure.
And then, we were just talking, chatting on the hospital beds, and I was asking around on what to do when I was off duty. And Jackson Fox said, "Rob people."
Objection.
What are you objecting for?
What does it have to do relevance with the situation that happened at the jewelry store?
I'm getting to that point, sir.
Alright. You can continue with your statement, but make it quick.
Okay, all right. Jackson Fox took me hostage. Okay,
Mhm.
and I think it was like Richard. He took me hostage, but we got brought by EMS, so he didn't have a car. So he had me at gunpoint. Had me the chokehold thing, and he was running me to the garage at the time. Now, as we were running right on the sidewalk in broad daylight, a police cruiser cruised by at relatively low speeds, and Jackson was, of course, laughing. He's like, "Oh, that cop's blind as fuck," and I was like, "Oh my god, no way that guy didn't see me." And I was yelling, of course. Now, I might have not actually been shouting, not 100% sure, but I was yelling like, "Hey, yo, help me!" You know what I mean? That's what I was saying. But either way, he took me. He had me hostage. We went and got a car, and I jokingly said, "Go over there and see who that cop was, so I can talk to him later." And he drove over there, and it was Richard. At which point I said, "Never mind. He's a higher officer. I can't yell at him. Don't worry about it." And he's like, "Go over there and punch him. See if he notices you." And I was like, "Well, no, I can't do that. I'm an officer. I have to conduct myself a certain way." And he said, "Nah, fuck it. I got a gun to your head. Do it." And so we both get out of the vehicle. He's got a gun to me. I run over and punch Richard. And, he's still gun on me. We still go back to the car. And he puts me in the vehicle. At which point, Richard attempts to remove me from the vehicle for punching him.
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps, repeating basically, exit the vehicle. You can't just punch me.
Sure. And,
of course, this whole time I said, Jackson's got a gun to my head. Now, I was a little bit scuffed, so I couldn't physically put my hands up. But, I was saying, my hands are up, and he's got a gun to me. Jackson was even looking through his eyes with a gun to me the whole time. He just didn't take it so seriously, and Jackson basically pulled off and said, "Go in the jewelry store." And somebody else even yelled. I heard him yell, "Good luck at jewelry." At which point, Jackson literally went to jewelry and he went to hit it, but it was either already hit or there wasn't enough officers. You know what I mean? I'm not sure.
Sure.
But we waited there for like a minute or two. Nobody showed up, which was weird. And so he drove back to Pillbox, at which point we engaged again with Richard. We said, like, are you going to negotiate for my free passage here or whatever? It looked like he was being very dismissive, I guess.
Yeah.
And we saw another officer down the road. We saw another vehicle. It was a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just pulled off, went towards that. And we met up with a Courtney. And Courtney immediately radioed in the situation.
All right.
And then, he pulled into Pillbox to negotiate for free passage and stuff like that and give me back.
Yep.
At which point he said, "I guess they don't care about you, dog." And I don't know. I woke up in the hospital.
Okay. So, the reason why I ask you that is that isn't your first time being taken hostage, and neither is this time with Mr. Johnson, right?
No, sir.
Okay. And in your professional line, how many times would you say you think you've had an interaction with Mr. Johnson in terms of you being the victim of the situation?
Johnson?
Yes.
I don't think ever. But
okay, so that would have been the first time?
Yes.
Okay. And in your professional line of work, how many times do you think you've or how many times would you say you've arrested Mr. Johnson or seen him be processed at the PD?
Objection, Your Honor. What does this have to do with this case?
It's a profile.
Carry on.
I honestly do not believe that I've been involved. I don't think I've arrested him, and I don't think I've really been involved with him too much.
Okay. In the past, yeah. All right. So back to when you're getting your gun license. Who informed you that he thinks that it's a good idea for you to get yourself armed?
Archie. He told me, you get taken hostage when you're off duty. I need you to get a gun next time you're off duty. I said, that sounds reasonable to me, and I was going to buy one. But I was on medical leave, so I couldn't drive. I had to walk over there.
Sure. Did you ask anybody for a ride?
Yes.
Who'd you ask?
Archie.
And what was his reasoning for not being able to give you a ride?
He was busy at the time.
Did he give you any details as to that?
I don't remember the details.
Okay. Would you say you think in that situation, or when Archie had given you direction to protect yourself or at least be armed while off duty, do you think that was with your in your best interest?
Yes, that was a reasonable request that I was willing to fulfill.
Okay. And do you think that, for any reason, Archie at risk in any form while on duty or off duty?
No.
Okay. No further questions.
Actually,
sorry.
I have some questions. And I
One other
don't know
question.
I don't know if that's. Seeing as how I don't actually have a lawyer here, is it inappropriate for me to ask questions?
You can ask your question, and I'll.
I have a couple.
Alright.
And if that's
Shoot.
not appropriate, then I don't know. I just there's some things that stick out to me, sir.
All right, you can come up and ask questions if you want.
All right. Hey Jimmy, how's it going?
Good.
All right, so I just want to be straight with you. I'm gonna ask you some questions here, and I want you to be honest about them, okay?
Yes,
I know
sir.
You swore your oath and everything. Just to point out, where were you leaving from when you got picked up as a hostage?
Right outside MRPD. I was not even a block away.
It was visible, the station
Yes.
from where you got picked up?
Yes.
Okay. And you said earlier when being questioned that you used your panic button, sir.
Yes, sir.
Does everybody here know what a panic button sounds like? Can I demonstrate that?
I don't think you need to. I think we all understand.
It's pretty loud.
Negative.
Granted, I will. He was probably from like here to the second pew when he got out of his car with the gun out. So I don't know if you'd heard it.
I mean, again, I can walk to the second pew, sir. Would that be all right, or would you prefer that I didn't?
Do you wanna have him demonstrate, or it's up to you. Your Honor.
I mean, we can have somebody let everybody know that it's for this purpose, sir. I mean, just to establish the sound of a panic button.
No, I do not think we need to hear it. I know what it sounds like. I think we're all set on that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So now, again, you panic. They pick you up anyway, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I just want to establish that they did threaten you several times. You said to the plaintiff's lawyer, right, that they privately let you know they weren't going to do anything.
Yes.
Do you believe that other officers could have heard them tell you that?
Well, they would not have heard them exclaiming that. No.
Okay, but they did tell officers that they did plan to shoot you, right?
Well, so when we were in the car, you know, I mean, they didn't shoot me when basically
No,
the officer
no.
said to. I don't know.
When the officers came close to the car, you said you couldn't tell exactly which one it was, correct? Somebody approached the vehicle
Yeah,
and they yelled out of their car that if they got too close, they would shoot you in the head. True or false, sir?
they did say that. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Now, now you're telling me that they never told us that they weren't going to shoot you, but they did tell us that they are going to shoot you, correct?
I mean, you know, they didn't actually shoot me.
That's not the question, sir. They established with other officers that they were going to shoot you.
I mean, yeah, but they said it with every hostage. I get what you're saying.
Okay, I just making that clear.
Okay.
A couple more and we're done, sir. You
You're
said
good.
that they asked for the basic package.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure that I know almost for a fact that they asked for at least free passage. I'm not really 100% sure on the other ones.
Now, can you explain to the court what that means when they ask for free passage?
Archie,
Free
a little
pass?
low.
Yeah, let me repeat it, sir, for the court. Can you explain what it means when criminals ask for free passage to their vehicles, sir?
That means they're able to exit safely without, you know, any interference and enter their vehicle and take off.
Okay. So, do you remember what direction you left from the jewelry store, sir?
I walked out to the left towards you.
Okay, sir. That's sorry. That's a one-off. But you're saying you walked out towards the left.
Yeah, like walking outwards.
You
Left.
went to the left. 10-4.
Yeah.
Okay. Just one more thing then. Were you injured in the course of that shootout?
No, sir.
All right. Those are all the questions that I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Floyd.
Okay.
You may exit the stand. Thank you for your testimony today.
Yes, sir.
The plaintiff may call their second witness.
Yeah.
He asked for your second witness.
All right, my second witness is going to be Mr. Jason Romero.
Okay, is he in the courtroom today?
Yes, he's right there. In...
Alright, Mr. Romano. Come on up. Give me your ID.
Whoa.
Hey, no fighting.
Do you want my ID?
Yes, please.
Which side do you want me on?
Oh, it don't matter. This right side here is fine.
Are you guys going to cause problems? Okay. Right. Settle down, all right?
Alright, Mr. Romano. Raise your hand for me.
Sit
Repeat
up.
after me. I solemnly swear to tell the truth,
I solemnly swear to tell the truth,
nothing but the truth,
nothing but the truth.
so help me God.
So help me God.
You are now sworn in and you are under oath. Plaintiff, it is your witness.
Mr. Jason Romero, how are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Oh, that's awesome. Got a question. You work at Pillbox, right?
Yes, I do.
All right. And can you tell me what is your role as a medic at Pillbox?
I am a resident there for the surgery department, and as well as a paramedic at the time.
All right. And you did receive a call that there was a downed individual by a jewelry store, right?
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay. When you responded to that call, can you explain in detail what you've witnessed?
On that day, we had a fair amount of calls, but I did respond to the one at the jewelry store. I did arrive on scene to 2 downed individuals and multiple officers around the area. I picked up the 2 what they referred to as suspects, and because of the amount of calls I had at the time, I advised if they needed medical, then feel free to call it in. And upon that, I left the scene to respond to other calls.
Okay. Now, do you recall if they were denied any medical treatment?
They were silent at the time, but the officers were kind of like gathering everything they needed to get them in and processed, from what I understand.
Right. Did any of the officers tell you that? Did any of the officers let you know that they're requesting any medical
No,
over the radio?
I was not informed that they requested medical.
Did you ask anybody if they needed medical?
I advised that if they needed medical to let me know. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard what you
Okay,
said.
just-
Okay, now I got a question. So, in regards to what happened yesterday at the hospital, can you explain what happened yesterday at the hospital with Officer Hucker?
From my perspective, in the lobby of Pillbox Hospital, Hucker approached.
Objection.
What's the objection for?
Hucker's not on trial here. I'm wondering what the relevance is.
In this incident happened over a month ago, correct?
10-4. He
Correct.
wasn't on
That's
scene
correct.
here.
Plaintiff, can you describe the relevance of the line of questioning, please?
Well, in regards, it seems like they were badgering my clients over there yesterday in regards to what was happening a month ago.
I don't know if it was necessary badgering. I think it was a pretty straightforward line of questioning. That doesn't, defeat the purpose of what's this have to do with the incident. Are you trying to build a profile, or what are you trying to do?
They're pretty much just trying to build a profile.
Okay, you may
Again,
I'm
Hucker wasn't
not on trial.
Hucker wasn't on the scene. He's not a defendant in this case. He's my legal counsel. He wasn't even of a rank to issue me command at the time. He wasn't involved in any way. Does this situation yesterday involve me?
No.
Then it's no longer relevant. Oh, the objection is sustained. Please
Thank you, sir.
go with your next line of questioning.
Yep.
Mr. Santos.
That's all my questions there.
Okay. I have a question here for Mr. Romano. You were the medical technician there that went on scene at the shooting, correct?
Yeah, I was for a good, I think, at least 40 seconds.
Okay, so one thing I haven't heard for certain is a date and time. Do you, on your medical records, list those when you respond to those calls?
If it's a simple pick up and leave, we don't necessarily document all that. There was no surgery or procedure that occurred, so it wasn't documented.
Okay, and when you got there at the scene, how many people did need medical treatment?
Recalling correctly, there were 2.
Okay, do you remember who those individuals were?
Alex Daywalt and JJ Johnson.
Alright, thank you so much for that. You may, defense, yes, go ahead with your lines of questioning.
Thank
I
you.
see you inching up there.
Yeah. Sorry. How you doing, Jason?
Not bad. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So a couple questions for you. How much training would you say you as a EMT have to go through to be qualified to handle a situation like that with multiple GSWs?
Well, we go through vigorous training, actually. I'm trained by Pillbox's best. We go through a ride-along process of up to 5 days, and if the captains and above feel that you need more training, you're on a ride-along for a little longer. We go through a probationary period, which could last up to 30 days or longer. And after that, we bump up to paramedics, and it's still a learning process on that. And there's always learning to be done at Pillbox Hospital as an EMS.
Right.
And since this is about me specifically, I was bumped up to resident recently because they're obviously confident enough in my ability. So,
well, congratulations on that. So during the time, if you can recall, do you remember what your specific rank within the EMS was?
at the time, I was a paramedic.
Okay, and can you describe those responsibilities when arriving on a scene similar to the one that we're speaking of?
Yeah, I can describe that. So, as a paramedic, we respond to calls that come through our phone as a distress, and we patch people up on scene. And if they need further medical attention, they can request it. Since we only have a few basic tools on scene, we use a quick lock kit for GSWs, and like I said before, if there's a lot of calls on the day, we have to kind of not rush per se, but like kind of get to everyone before they see the light.
Okay. So when rolling up on scene and identifying the subjects, did you have any sort of line of questioning to validate their well-being after getting them stabilized?
Usually when I arrive on scene, I find out what happened. At the time, not many people were talking to me. I just kind of saw two downed people. They said that they were suspects in a crime and they needed attention. So upon picking them up, I asked if they needed further medical. And basically, because I didn't get a response because of the tension at the time, I said if they require any further medical attention to radio it in and let me know.
Right.
And,
sorry.
And after that, I had to probably go to another call.
Sure. Okay. So you said that you could feel the tension, or right? Like, could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Tension as in it felt tense. It is a crime scene. You're always going to feel tension at the scene of a crime.
Sure. Okay. So with that being said, these individuals did not respond to your ask on whether or not if they needed further medical attention at the time?
They did not respond at the time. I asked the officers, I advised the officers at the time if they needed further medical to radio it in.
Mm-hmm. Did you ask any of the officers if they needed medical assistance?
No, they didn't look physically harmed.
Okay.
I advised, like I said, I advise it all the time on scene. If anyone needs further medical attention, please radio it in. And I usually advise that whenever the day is a very busy day. Right. On that day specifically, I do remember getting numerous. I was the only medic on duty at the time. So
right. So again, just this I would ask that you just answer in a yes or no. When asking the suspects whether or not they needed further medical attention at the scene, what was their response?
That's not a yes or no question.
Oh, I apologize. They did not answer you.
No.
Perfect. No more questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. The defense rest. Mr. Floyd. No,
wait, what?
Mr. Romano.
Romero.
Thank you for your service. You may step down from the stand, sir.
10-4. Thank you very much. You look lovely today.
Oh, thank you. I changed my suit.
It looks good on you.
Can I have the legal representation please come forward? Okay. Mr. Santos, I've heard a pretty good deal of from your witnesses. I do have one question for you. In what is the incident that you are pressing the suit for? Is it for them shooting the individuals or the lack of medical treatment after the fact?
Mainly the shooting, sir. Your Honor.
Okay. All right, the court is going to take a brief recess. I have a video I need to watch, and I want to review it. And then if the legal team can come forward into the chambers, that'd be great. Ladies and gentlemen, the court is out of recess. We're back in full swing.
Your Honor.
You're quiet
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
sir.
Okay, we're no longer in recess. So, within discovery, I'm gonna set a ruling. I found that the nature of the evidence submitted does not present enough evidence or miscarryings or misgivings or unprofessional from the police. I would also like the legal team from the defense to come up to the stand. And come have a seat for me. Raise your right hand. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
to say the truth,
to say the truth,
nothing but the truth,
nothing but the truth.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Okay. You are a master sergeant here in the police department, correct?
That is correct.
What is the training that you get for the force continuum or use of force policies in the department?
Well, Your Honor, we have 5 uses of force to identify, and within those forces, sorry, let me collect myself. Give me a second.
If you need help, I'm pretty well versed into that as well.
Yeah, off the top of my head, right at the moment, it's not on me.
Okay.
So,
So,
but we go from non-lethal, and using our voice is our lowest form of force, and then obviously we go to lethal, which is the breaking point, right? That is our level. We also have a less than lethal, lethal, non-lethal, and then
police
verbal.
presence and verbal, yes.
Right.
Are you familiar with Tennessee versus Garner?
I'm not.
Okay, Tennessee versus Garner, the Supreme Court ruled that the police, without a shadow of doubt, have to provide a suspect that is a danger to society before they are allowed to shoot him. During these incidents, do you believe that these individuals were a danger to society?
At the time, no doubt in my mind.
Okay, why is that?
The blatant disregard for a human being's life. 9 times out of 10, any time that I approach or go up to a situation, I try the verbal method 90% of the time, and you could ask every single one of my officers. I do that 90% of the time, even though I am the master sergeant of SWAT, which is Special Weapons and Tactics unit. I do believe that a lot of the citizens of the city tend to lean towards trying to foreshadow fear upon us as the PD, to basically just make it to where we have to follow every move that they say 90% of the time. And we don't act mostly aggressive when it comes down to these situations, even though these individuals hold weapons to to civilians' heads and are shouting and yelling at them and so on and so forth. When they made the move to alert the officer that arrived to try and assess the situation, without even hearing out that officer, they told him, if you move closer, we will shoot him in the head. And that there is an indication that these individuals have no care, no candor for human beings or humankind in general. They are driven by greed, and they're only worried about themselves. So absolutely, Your Honor, I do believe they're a harm to society.
And do you believe that if they were allowed to be in the car and drive off, what could happen? What made the police
Anything.
think that they should stop the suspects there and then?
Well, one, it was the taking a police officer. We swear voluntarily to protect these streets, protect these individuals. And if we get a call, we don't ask questions as to why we're getting a call. We show up, right? And Jimmy, I'm sorry, but you can't miss him. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard to identify that he is who he is, off duty or on duty. And so that blatant disregard makes me feel like, anything when they leave that situation, like time and time before, because I've had multiple instances to where I've been in a chase with these specific individuals. We're running thin through the city at 150, 160 miles an hour, and they use their vehicle as a weapon too, sir.
Good pointing that out, yes. And do you believe that the driver in that vehicle, if he was able to leave, would drive towards the exit, which is on when you're exiting the jewelry store on the right-hand side? Is that correct, or would they have gone to the left?
They choose either side. And had they chose either side, there was police officers in the way. But here's the caveat. That wouldn't have mattered. Their one and only idea is to get out of that spot. That's all they want. And sorry, this is additional. And in addition to our negotiations are only until we get our hostage or the individual who has been kidnapped back into our custody. And at the time, he was back in our custody before that was made.
Mr. Santos, do you have any questions? Look like you want to ask a question.
Couldn't hear you, but if you're talking.
I'm
There you
so
go.
sorry about that. I was speaking. All right. So my question to you. So when was the last time prior to this incident you arrested JJ and Alec?
I don't believe, I can't recall Mr. Alex. I've had many conversations with JJ before, even after this incident, except for yesterday, which yesterday was the only time that anything was. Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, never mind. Anyways, I've arrested JJ multiple times. Multiple times it's for jewelry stores. It could be for a bank robbery. It could be let's see. I don't think I've ever arrested him on a simple traffic stop or anything like that. I've only ever arrested JJ or Alex Daywalt at for a serious crime, where they had someone else's life at risk.
Okay. So in those prior arrests, how did they, once they let the hostage go, what happened usually after that? Did they start running anybody over, start shooting PD before they got into the vehicle and left? And
generally speaking, not specifics, because I can't call every single incident that I've had with an individual's specifically, but typically they will leave the jewelry store in a rush and proceed down alleyways and streets in excesses of 100 plus miles an hour. There's multiple times where it's almost like a show to them, where they run past pillbox where we have our beloved EMS, and God forbid one of them was running across the street or something like that and gets clipped by the car. That could happen. Now, has that happened? No, I can't remember or recall a time that has happened. However, that is always in the forefront of my mind as a police officer, that I need to be wary of that, make sure my sirens are on and stuff like that to be able to alert the surrounding people that we're coming through in a very high rate of speed.
Okay. Now, how did you identify them that's on the scene to know they were of risk to society? And do they shoot at everyone that robs stores?
Should these questions be being asked of me?
Right. I was not on scene.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
Okay.
relevant to the individual.
I had
He can only
just
speculate.
as that call had come through for that for that specific robbery, I was just clocking off of duty. However, I did hear the distress over the radio at the time, and Jimmy, I believe Jimmy did radio in quickly, or somebody had radio in that these individuals wanted to specifically speak to Archie. Or that Jimmy was requesting Archie. I can't remember.
I requested Archie.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, in regards to your last statement about what's in your when.
Mr. Santos, I'm going to stop you there. Do you have any
Okay.
questions regarding the use of force continuum, which is why I brought this individual onto the stand?
Okay. All right. So as far as the use of force, the plaintiffs, my clients, they were not showing any type of trying to harm PD or anything. They let Jimmy go, and then they just proceeded to go straight into the vehicles without showing anything. And that's when your officers went ahead and took out, I believe they were Class 2 weapons, and started shooting at both of them, down them. Don't you think that's a little too much for it?
No,
Objection.
Got it.
I don't think so at all. I think the use of force was justified.
Your Honor, permission to counter ask a question?
Go ahead.
Are your clients, are they felonies? Do they possess felonies?
They have charges, yes, correct.
And those individuals were armed at the time?
They were armed, but they didn't have the weapons drawn out.
At the time that they took Jimmy, did they have the weapons out, sir?
Yes.
And when they entered the vehicle, they had their weapons out, sir?
Sorry, I didn't see any weapons out.
Yeah, the video shows that they had their weapons out while leaving the jewelry store.
That there to us is still a clear identifier that they are willing to use those tools to eradicate anybody who gets in their way. And if you've ever shot a weapon or had a pistol out in your hand already, it's as simple as pointing and clicking, and it could be game over. Jimmy could have died. One of the officers could have died. And we're not willing to take that risk. So to answer your question about use of force, no, I don't believe that we overexceeded our use of force when identifying that armed felonious criminals were taking a police officer hostage and trying to flee the situation.
Okay, so my next
No.
and then one final question. Okay.
Is it relating to use of force in the police tactics?
Correct.
All right, go ahead. One last question.
Okay, so my final question is: Do you do the same? Do you use the same type of force when there's any other crimes not involving an officer as a hostage?
Mr. Hucker, do not answer that. The police have tools and they use them when they have to. Obviously,
Your Honor, you're not yelling.
The cops are trained to de-escalate situations. You can't just refer as a blanket statement of what if.
Permission to answer a general statement, or to basically go over my how we identify situations.
Go ahead.
Okay. When we approach any situation, for the most with anybody, doesn't matter if it's a police officer or not, we roll up to the situation. We have the first responding unit communicate to the remaining officers that are on duty the amount of suspects, the weapons that the suspects have, if any, how many hostages, or if there is a hostage, and a description of the vehicle. That there gives us arriving officers an opportunity to assess, communicate, and strategize ourselves to be able to handle that situation in the best way possible. That is the number one priority, is to get the hostage back. Right now, we assess every situation based on the aggressiveness that is presented at the time, and whether or not, if the hostage is at immediate or imminent danger or in that danger range, which is in a headlock position. If anything else is further needed, we typically don't make a move on a lot of different situations, because we're able to verbally talk down the suspects. We're able to de-escalate the situation, or at least be able to come across an agreement that makes sense. But yeah, that's basically our standard of operations when it comes to assessing a situation, strategizing, and communicating amongst ourselves how we're going to be able to handle the situation in the best way and effective way.
All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Tucker, you may go ahead and leave the chair there.
Thank you, Your Honor.
for
Your Honor, I had-
indulging me in those
Yep.
lines of questions. So I did do that. You know, I wanted to show the court why I'm going to be ruling in the favor of the defendant. At the time, with all the evidence and the video that was submitted, the plaintiffs, you know, had given the police that there was a sense of danger to society and the people around them. And at this point, I'm going to rule that, you know, in favor of the defendant. No reprimands are going to be made, and court is dismissed. Thank you for everyone that came, and
Thank you, Your Honor.
we'll see you next time.
Hey, Judge, can I speak to you for a minute in the back?
Yeah, if the plaintiffs have any discussions or any questions, you can meet me. I'll indulge.